Let's understand the boxed Archeologist spade and rate it for different styles of play. Use the boxed Archeologist spade to get the Archeologist spade. Click the Dig link to see your most recent adventure zone listed at the top along with the options available. Options include dig up something from the area, dig up something ancient, and if your most recent adventure zone included skeleton monsters, the dig up a skeleton for a free fight with one of the zone's native skeleton monsters. This may be useful during an ascension to fight red skeletons on the Red Zeppelin to advance the search for Ron Copperhead, or in the Defiled Nook to collect evil eyes. It may also be useful in niche situations like collecting more items from the Time Twitching Tower's skeleton zones, though up to 11 free fights per day is always useful. I'm done digging exits without using up any of your 11 charges for the day. Ascending gives you 11 more charges on the Archeologist's spade. Dig up something from the area randomly gives you one of the normal, not pickpocket only or rare, drops from your most recent adventure zone. Since most zones have a large drop table, this is unlikely to net the item you need. Exceptions are zones with only one monster drop, like the Mysterious Island side quest zones, Son of a Beach, for barrels of gunpowder, or the Organic Orchard for filthworm glands. Note that you don't have to actually spend adventures in a zone to update your most recent adventure zone. You can equip the Mr. Store Peridot of Peril and adventure in a zone, then pick I Choose Peace to update your most recent adventure zone without spending any adventures. The same is true of any free non-combat such as turtle taming adventures. Dig up something ancient will most commonly give a random ancient artifact from the set Dinosaur Bone Fragment, Ancient Pork Elf Pottery Shard, or 2015 Landfill Detritus. Collect artifacts to buy unique, untradeable items with each kind of currency. Thankfully, the artifacts are tradable and can be purchased in the mall, so even players who do not own the Archeologist spade can collect all of the items. None of the purchasable items will display in the shop menu until you have purchased them at least one time. Dinosaur Bone Fragments allow you to buy the potion Dinosaur Bone Broth for 5 Dinosaur Bone Fragments, which when used gives 25 adventures of the unwishable effect Bone Brotherhood for an extra 50 hit points, 20 monster level, and regenerate between 10 and 25 hit points. The Giant Gnawing Bone for 10 Dinosaur Bone Fragments, which can be used once per day to get 50 adventures of the unwishable effect Me Gnaw Bone for an extra 25 muscle, and every artifact you dig up will be a Dinosaur Bone Fragment. The Two-Handed Club Dinosaur Bone Club for 25 fragments, which does between 10 and 20 damage and adds 25% muscle when equipped. The Power 100 Hat Dinosaur Skull Helmet for 50 fragments, which adds 25% muscle and 25 hit points when worn, and the Power 100 Shirt Dinosaur Bone Corset for 100 fragments, which can be equipped to add 25% each to muscle and weapon damage and regenerate between 5 and 10 hit points per adventure. Wear all 3 equipment items, the Dinosaur Bone Club, Dinosaur Skull Helmet, and Dinosaur Bone Corset, to get the Dino Drip outfit. The Dino Drip outfit gives an extra 25% muscle, a tattoo when you visit the pretentious artist, and when trick-or-treating gives the size 1 spleen item Candy Bone, which can be used to gain some stats. The potion Dinosaur Bone Broth may be useful for council quests that can be made faster with higher monster level, but it will be difficult to purchase on the first day of your ascension since you cannot control which artifacts you receive, unless you are in a normal difficulty ascension and pull and use the Giant Gnawing Bone before digging up ancient artifacts. There is not much reason to use the Dino Drip outfit other than the tattoo. The Candy Bone is a less efficient way to gain stats than the Mber brand mouthwash, and the extra 100% muscle is matched by many effects such as greatness or equipping 2 brimstone equipment pieces from the Bad Moon Special Challenge Path. Ancient Pork Elf Pottery Shards allow you to buy the size 2 Awesome Quality Blues Pork Elf Cough Syrup for 5 Ancient Pork Elf Pottery Shards, which when used gives 25 adventures of the unwishable effect, definitely not coughing, for an extra 20 mana points, 40% combat initiative, and regenerate between 5 and 10 mana points per adventure. The Pork Elf Neti Pot for 10 Ancient Pork Elf Pottery Shards, which can be used once per day to get 50 adventures of the unwishable effect Pork Elf Brain Amoeba for an extra 25 mysticality, and every artifact you dig up will be an Ancient Pork Elf Pottery Shard. the Pork Elf Medicine Cabinet for 25 shards, which can be installed in your campsite dwelling to give 30 adventures of the unwishable effect Pork Elf Medicine on your first rest each day to regenerate between 25 and 50 hit points per adventure, the Pork Elf Sink for 50 fragments, which can be installed in your campsite dwelling to give 30 adventures of the unwishable effect Extremely Clean Hands on your first rest each day for an extra 10 stats per fight, and the Pork Elf Toilet for 100 shards, which can be installed in your campsite dwelling to remove one fullness once per day when resting, so long as your fullness is at 2 or more. This is likely to avoid the issue with other stomach cleansers that when your fullness returns to 0, you can trigger effects when eating certain foods first each day. Interestingly, if you have both the Pork Elf Brain Amoeba and Me Gnaw Bone effects active, you will find a mix of ancient Pork Elf pottery shards and dinosaur bone fragments, no 2015 landfill detritus, when digging for ancient artifacts. The effects from the medicine cabinet and sink are useful to heal after combat and grow your character level, though since they're tied to when you rest at your campsite for the first time each day, it's harder to save the effects for when they're most needed. The Pork Elf Toilet is a nice way to increase your stomach capacity by 1 each day. I recommend everyone install one at their campsite dwelling. 2015 Landfill Detritus allows you to buy the size 2 awesome quality food Rat Pizza for 5 Landfill Detritus, which when used gives 50 adventures of the unwishable effect Ratabunga Dude for an extra 10 pounds of familiar weight, the Fleek Mascara for 10 Landfill Detritus, which can be used once per day to get 50 adventures of the unwishable effect Eyebrows on Fleek for an extra 25 Moxie, and every artifact you dig up will be 2015 Landfill Detritus. The accessory Hoverboard for 25 Landfill Detritus, which adds 25% each to Moxie, Combat Initiative, and item drops from monsters when worn, but explodes when you use it for more than 50 adventures a day. You're warned first, which is nice. The offhand item Left Shark Fin for 50 Landfill Detritus, which adds 10% each to Muscle, Mysticality, and Moxie gains when worn, and the accessory Fitness Tracking Bracelet for 100 Landfill Detritus, which can be worn while adventuring to add 1 extra PvP fight if worn at rollover for every 100 adventures it's worn while adventuring, starting from a baseline of 1 PvP fight at rollover. The accessory slot is quite valuable, so it would be hard for the fitness bracelet to become better than the 9 rollover fights from the Crimbuccaneer Fledges disintegrating, or the 7 rollover fights from the offensive mustache, which is always in standard. The left shark fin will be useful for anyone trying to increase their character level, while the hoverboard may be a good pull in normal ascensions for a temporary increase in stats. Remember how I said that you get one of the 3 artifact currencies most of the time when digging for ancient artifacts? Very rarely you may get one of 3 rare items instead. The intact dinosaur egg can be put in the terrarium to get the cute skeletal dinosaur, a familiar that blocks your opponent's first attack most of the time, and attacks your opponent for between 2 and 30 spooky damage. The cute skeletal dinosaur does not fit in the Crown of Thrones or Buddy Bjorn. The cute skeletal dinosaur's familiar equipment is a fossilized cow femur to add 5 pounds of familiar weight. The cute skeletal dinosaur's ability to block the first attack from each monster may make it a good pick if you find yourself losing fights. The other 2 rare items can only be used once per player account. Use the Unopened Pork Elf Toiletries Kit to get the Untradeable Pork Elf Toiletries Kit. Use the Pork Elf Toiletries Kit once per day to get 1 each of 3 tradable potions, each of which gives 25 adventures of a wishable effect. Pork Elf Toothpaste, which gives Antediluvian Smile for an extra 50% each to Muscle, Mysticality, and Moxie. Pork Elf Deodorant, which gives Porky Fresh, which makes monsters less attracted to you. And Pork Elf Mouthwash, which gives Mouthwashed for 50% extra meat from monsters. Each of these potions can make completing certain council quests easier, so it may make sense to pull the Pork Elf Toiletries Kit during a normal ascension to get and use the potions each day. Use the bolt of striped fabric to get either the Power 50 shirt white and gold dress, which adds 75% to food drops from monsters and 50 hit points when worn, or the Power 50 shirt blue and black dress, which adds 75% to booze drops from monsters and 25 mana points when worn. You cannot use a zap wand to change one dress into the other. You're stuck with the one you get. This is unfortunate because there are separate PvP minigames for the most food and boost drops from monsters, so certain players will always have an advantage in one minigame over the other. The Pork Elf Toiletries Kit, Fleek Mascara, Pork Elf Neti Pot, and Giant Gnawing Bone all have daily use reminders which you can enable. So how does the boxed Archeologist spade measure up? Once you've collected all the equipment, campground furnishings, and once per count items, there's very little reason to keep collecting artifacts. You can collect all of these without purchasing the item of the month, since the artifacts themselves are tradable. The consumable food, booze, and potion may be useful in normal difficulty ascensions where you can pull and use the items that guarantee a particular ancient artifact is dug up. That leaves fighting skeletons and digging up monster drops from an area as the primary use cases. Thankfully, both are quite handy. Digging up monster drops from an area can advance council quests, while 11 free skeleton fights is useful both before and after defeating the naughty sorceress. I rate the Archeologist spade 2 out of 5 stars for quality of life. Free fights are always useful for item farmers who stack on expensive effects or item drop equipment. You can also generate more adventures with the Pork Elf toilet and increase meat drops with the Pork Elf mouthwash. I rate the spade 3 out of 5 stars for farming. The blue and black dress, or is it the white and gold dress, are useful for their respective PvP minigames, and multiple of the equipment items and effects increase stats. I rate the Archeologist spade 2 out of 5 stars for PvP. Carefully choosing when to dig up monster drops or fight skeletons native to a zone can speed up even the fastest ascensions. I rate the spade 2 out of 5 stars for speedruns. I hope this helps you decide if you should pick one up. Heads up that I won't be posting new videos for a few weeks since real life has gotten unusually busy. I look forward to sharing more cool content with you as soon as I can.